What's going on, y'all? It's your sister-in-law's baby cousin Tracy's favorite hip-hop artist, FriiStyle Gahspol. How you doing? This is the Extreme Tour review by FriiStyle Gahspol. I'm gonna try to break up the review into sections or parts so you guys can I don't know, fast forward through parts that you're interested in or skip parts you're not. So first, I want to just talk about preparing for the Extreme Tour. My preparation for the Extreme Tour is my first time touring. I'm a solo hip hop and spoken word artist out of Connecticut. It was my first time traveling out of the Northeast part of the country, and traveling any distance outside of the Northeast with my music. So it was exciting. It was pretty exciting to get an opportunity to travel with the Extreme Tour out in Utah and Idaho. It was also my first time flying by myself either. Sad to say, but I was glad that it happened nonetheless. And the Extreme Tour staff, tour management team, made me feel comfortable with all the questions I had about just the logistics part of just traveling, how I was gonna fly out, the best airports to use. My plan was I ended up flying from the Northeast out to Salt Lake City to meet up with the tour, and I ended up getting a rental vehicle and traveled by rental vehicle throughout the 6 cities that we had on the tour leg out there. That worked for me. I had, even though I was a solo artist, I had bags, equipment, my clothes, merchandise bags, with my merch in it. That worked for me. Other preparations for the tour, like just what things to bring. They were helpful with emails that they sent me. It had information about what are the things as an artist, music artist, to bring with you, to pack. And again, it was my first time touring, and it was information that I needed. Other more seasoned artists who tour a lot may not have needed that, but I was appreciative that Extreme Tour provided that. So the next part I'd like to talk about is just what were the staff like and other artists or bands that were there. So the staff at the Extreme Tour were very welcoming. What I loved about the staff is I think literally every single person was a music artist themselves. They were music artists presently recording music or former recording artists. So, and they had a lot of experience. These were people who've toured over the world, and they had a lot of insight and just knowledge for local independent artists like myself trying to grow into something past just being local. They had a lot of knowledge to offer. And I spent a lot of the downtime while I was on the Extreme Tour. I spent a lot of the downtime picking their brains and getting valuable insight nuggets from them and their experiences. The other bands that were there I was the only hip hop or spoken word artist, but the other bands that were there were very supportive. There were other, artists that were just as hungry as you were for, and passionate about their music. They had, different tips and tricks that they've been learning, along the way as independent artists to pass along. We spent many nights, late nights up talking to each other, chit-chatting, building with each other as artists. Everybody kind of having this, passion for music in common. It really made for great unity. And I felt like it was kind of like the Extreme Tour for me acted as like tour boot camp for independent artists or new independent artists. It was just valuable things that I found out about touring, just how rigorous and, tiring it could be. Getting used to, performing every other day or performing and traveling. And as soon as you finish traveling, having a 5-hour travel, performing again, setting up, staging equipment and participating in all of that, and still having, a 20-minute set maybe. That was very intense, and it was levels of performing and, delivery of my music that I had never been exposed to before or done before. But it was very necessary for me, I say, because it was from that experience of the Extreme Tour that made me confident to go from just being a local artist and then now, you know, nationally over here as, you know, performing in the West Coast with the Extreme Tour. And so now a touring artist, but then from that to being an international artist. And that was just, one of the great benefits of just, I think I took from the encouragement and the experience that both the Extreme Tour staff were able to impart to me or give me, and the other bandmates, other, artists or, bands that were there on tour as well. The other part I want to talk about is like the accommodations. So the accommodations were, I felt like they were like just as promised. They took care of where we slept, our food. And if you were like picky like me, you budgeted maybe a little more money for, days or, whatever that the food that was provided for you, maybe you didn't, like it or whatever. So you went to, McDonald's that day or something. I don't know, whatever you're into. But there are many days where, shoot, the food they provided was great, was better than the food that I treat myself to at home. So I really loved those days. And as far as, accommodations, like, the, male artists that were traveling were, separate from the female artists, or whether it was like sleeping bags or blow up mattress. I was lucky enough to prepare myself and bring an electric, automatic blow up mattress that kind of has the pump built into the mattress itself. That's a fantastic purchase and idea if you're thinking about going on the Extreme Tour. For 2019, invest in an electric blow-up mattress that has the pump already built in. Excellent purchase. Go to Walmart. Nothing too fancy, but we were all there, for the purpose of, having a passion for our music and a passion for sharing our music with the rest of the world. So I don't think it was something that not too many people were, hung up on. So the next thing I want to talk about is just what were the shows like? So like the shows were, just like your local, teenagers or young adults. And for the leg I was on, we hit up every place we hit up, every city was like at like a skate park. There was like skate parks where we'd maybe go out there the night of or the day of a show or the night before, and we'd go around the local community, not just, at the skate parks, but we'd go, to the, throughout the local community where, we thought there was a lot of people hanging out. We'd be passing out flyers, letting everybody know where's the show gonna be at. Telling them a little bit about ourselves, because we're these artists coming from all over the place. We're not from where you're from, so you probably don't know who we are. They were totally like receptive. I mean, I think every performance or, town that I performed at on that leg for those 2 weeks, I felt like I was received well. And there was, what was really great was to just see how other people who are not from your local area were just falling in love with what you do and your music and how you do it. At least on the tour leg I was on, I think even all the artists that were on tour with myself, I saw the same thing for them as well. But, we'd have a set and get off and you'd get like bombarded by tons of kids, asking you to sign their skateboard, sign my helmet, sign my shirt, I've never in my hometown or local tri-state area have never given out that many autographs after any one of my sets, ever. So another awesome thing that just wowed me from the experience at this Extreme Tour was just, again, the people who we performed for were, great. They were, impacted greatly by, what we were doing, our music. But I had one young kid who's, teenage kid, sees me at one town at a performance, from his town where he lives, ends up messaging me, I think like the next day on my Facebook page, fan page. He's like, hey, FriiStyle, guess what? And I'm like, what? What's up? He's like, I'm gonna see you tonight. And And I'm like, you mean like tonight at the show at, you know, so and so? I forget the city, the next city I was at, but I had left his town, and it was like a 3 hour drive away to the next tour stop. And this kid like begged his mom, convinced his mom to drive him 3 hours away and see me at another town at the next show. That was just, I was in awe of that experience. My experiences since the Extreme Tour, like just as an artist, like within the first 48 hours, I think, you know, I mentioned, I had been given an opportunity to perform at an awards show in Georgia when I came back from the Extreme Tour. So the Extreme Tour was in August. I got an invitation to perform at an awards ceremony in Georgia in October. And then from that, there was someone there that and then invited me to come perform at an awards ceremony in the UK, in London. And then from that, I got an invitation to come and tour with another band in France, Germany, and Belgium for 2019. So I say all that to say, it being like a very new thing for me as a local artist to now travel across the country to the West Coast and travel with the Extreme Tour, that being like so new for me, it became literally like the catapult for me as a local artist to go from local to national to international. And I think the Extreme Tour making, you know, just the staff and that process, them working with me to make it a positive experience, gave me the confidence as an artist to travel more with my music and tour more and be confident in that. And that's a big deal. It's a big deal on you know, just a literal, you know, from a literal standpoint, just as far as, you know, as an artist, you know, building your fan base or whatever. But for me also, as a artist who's all about sharing, you know, his faith in God and in that tough, you know, walk, you know, as tough as it can be at times, it allowed me to share my heart as an artist with these communities, and now take that same passion and share my heart and just love on people with like the love of God all over the world. And that's something I feel I owe to the Extreme Tour giving me that opportunity in 2018. And now I look back and I go, just what, from August, September, October, November, December, January, February, just like 6 months have gone by. And in those 6 months, from that opportunity, from going from local, you know, artists, independent here in the Northeast, to the West Coast with Extreme Tour, and those short 6 months from that to now, I've gone from Utah, Idaho, to Georgia, to the UK, and then now in April I'll be in France, and also just got an invitation to come to go to Australia in November. So I'm just in awe of all that, you know, I feel God is doing in my life. And I feel like any other artists who are thinking about traveling with the Extreme Tour, I would say, you know, if you're serious about your music, if you're serious about just, you know, loving on people of all different backgrounds, race, ethnicity, whatever, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. I think with any review, it's only fair to review or go back over maybe some of the things that weren't so great, or things maybe you didn't like. So I'll be the first to, you know, give you a spoiler in advance that for me, there's not many, if at all. But I think, you know, like I said, if, you know, when I was considering going on an Extreme Tour, and I was on that end, the end that I'm sure a lot of you watching this review are on, I was all over YouTube, scouring the internet, looking for, you know, what other artists have said about you know, being on extreme tour, and you're looking for like, what are the bad things, like, right? Or what are the things that should talk me out of this? Wow, like I mean, like I said, if you're really, really picky, you know, if I wanted to nitpick, maybe I could, you know, say I didn't like some of the food accommodations, you know, maybe some days, but that's so minuscule in comparison, you know, to the grand scheme of things, right? Like to other things that you know, like if you've performed anywhere, right? So forget if you've never been a touring artist, but if you've performed anywhere, there's like key things that are like super important about your performance, right? That you need to go well. Like what? Like the equipment. You need the microphone to work. You need, you know, if you're a band and you play instruments, you need the guitar or whatever, things like that work. First of all, the other bands they brought their guitars or, you know, whatever. But like mics and sound systems, speakers, like those things that we set up for all of us to use each show stop, those things I don't recall ever going bad or not working or failing. There was one particular city stop that I did not get to perform my set at because I think like halfway through the set or maybe like near the beginning of the set, there were a few artists this night, this date I did not get to perform because you know, we got rained out. All of a sudden, it started raining out of nowhere, and of course, you can't perform in the rain with all this equipment just out in the open, or right? So, you know, so we're setting shop up at this skate park this particular night. So that was that. Oh, another thing I want to mention is just like stuff to bring as far as, you know, merchandise. So another tip is, and I think, you know, again, if you've toured already, a lot of stuff you know already, so, you know, you could skip through this, guys, but making sure, you know, you kind of have like merchandise for, you know, all different like levels, like, or, you know, price levels or whatever, you know, so that, you got your shirts or hoodies, and, you know, those might be more your expensive items, or hats, or, you know, you have CDs or albums you guys you're selling for your band, and maybe those are, you know, your higher priced, you know, items. But you know, having like little pins or, you know, buttons or keychains, those things were great. For me personally, I ended up, you know, just giving away a bunch of my merch, you know. That's how I felt led, you know what I mean, at the time. And I just wanted to just love on these people, you know, this new, you know, communities that I was touching. But what was really cool too is some of the Extreme Tour management staff had you know, the ability to also create merch for you right there on the spot. You know, like there was somebody, you know, would take your order for your band, and like, you know, maybe you had a band logo, and in 2 days turnaround, like while you're on the tour traveling, in 2 days turnaround, you could have, you know, buttons made for your band to, you know, sell or give away or do whatever you want with on the tour. And that was amazing. And again, that comes from the experience Extreme Tour staff, because they're artists too, you know, music artists, you know, they're recording artists as well who've traveled and toured, and they know the kind of things that you're gonna need as an artist. So they have like all those, you know, they had all those things at your disposal. Or, and another great resource, you know, I was able to get connected with, you know, outlets to get my, you know, CDs for future travel or future touring printed up so that I could sell. You know, I got, you know, great deals on that, you know, or made great connections where I could get that done. You know, these, again, the staff were, you know, recording artists who've, you know, traveled over the world. So they have, you know, wherever you live, maybe in the country, especially maybe you're looking for a recording studio or someplace to, you know, I don't know, you need your music mixed and mastered. They had insight in all of that. And for me, like I said, 6 months ago, localized or just a regional Northeast artist, now international artist, I was picking those guys' brains while on that tour for two weeks. I was picking their brains for all the information I could get, and making all the connections I could make. And if you're, like I said, if you're an artist passionate about your music, passionate about what you do, and you enjoy just loving on people, this tour's for you. And that is the Extreme Tour review by FriiStyle Gahspol. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. You can like or share this video with anybody else, comment any questions you guys have below on this video. Also, don't forget to follow me on all your social media outlets at The Real Frii, or visit therealfrii.com, as well as find all my music on your digital download or streaming sites, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, or Spotify. That's FriiStyle Gahspol. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless.